it's really awesome to just make things just float, you know? It's something I didn't know was possible until I came here and learned about it. Right now we're at the Free Science Workshop on Hancock Street in Ithaca, where kids come in and work with exhibits and play around. There's lots of animals and tools, so kids just come in, and if they want to work on a project, I help guide them, and if they want to play with an animal, I help get them out and make sure it's all safe, and assist with using tools and teaching how to safely use the different tools we have here. I'm DeKwan. I've been living in Ithaca mostly my whole life, and been working with the Free Science Workshop and the physics bus for past like 6 or 7 years. I really like to experiment and build stuff and play around with materials and just learning, you know. That's a big part of what I love to do in life, is just exploring, really understanding how the world works through experimentation. I really like to go on walks and explore nature, and sometimes I have personal projects, like I've been building an electric bike and stuff like that. So I first met Eric when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, going to BJM as my elementary school, and we had this after-school program, A+, and one day Eric and a couple others came in as a part of what he was doing with outreach and showed motors and all types of different little things, and I got really interested in that. And then a few years later, in middle school, I went to LACS, and there was this project where we'd go to Cornell and work on exhibits, and so I met Eric again through that, and ever since then in middle school I've been really involved. I guess one of my favorite memories was going to the New York City Maker Faire with the physics bus, and exploring there and seeing just all the kids come on and be excited about the exhibits and ask questions, and adults too. I've experienced a lot of older adults ask questions and really want to get to know how different phenomena work, and how this, like, these things that seem so complicated work, and when you get down to the nitty-gritty, it's actually not so complicated. And it can be easily explained, usually through play and experimentation with exhibits. But yeah, at Maker Faire was awesome because I not only got to show people these exhibits and explain it, but I got to be a participant and walk around and see what other people were doing and understand just completely other projects that were outside of my realm until then. I've saw some really epic stuff there. Yeah, I really like it here, not only because I get to build stuff and be myself, but because it's really like a community here. Like, the people who come in here and the kids and their parents, they really have a sense of belonging, because sometimes we just sit and do nothing and just talk, you know, and just having a place where people can be themselves and do what they want to do is really important, because growing up, I never had a place like this. I was just kind of at home alone, like on my Xbox, you know. There was nowhere to just go out and really experiment and play with others in a community setting, you know. It can and has accomplished so much. For me, I've felt it's allowed me to gain a connection to like science and physics, and really wanting to learn more about how we can interact with different phenomena. Like, just given this opportunity, I've gained an attachment to science and learning that I just had never experienced before coming here. And not only that, I've I've learned how to experiment and how to build things and how to, when I have an idea, really manifest it and actualize it. Whereas before I was here, I had lots of ideas, but I didn't really have the tools or the people to help guide me through and develop my ideas to completion. One thing I worked on pretty recently was a acoustic levitator, so it floats particles in the air. The one I made, it's pretty small particles, but it can be expanded. It uses an acoustic sound trap to make a standing wave that essentially locks particles in place in the air. And I would have never been able to do that if I didn't have the resources and materials that are here, along with the knowledge that the other people I work with have to help guide me and complete that project, which I really feel an attachment to. And it's really awesome to just make things just float, you know? It's something I didn't know was possible until I came here and learned about it. I've always had an interest in science and physics and experimentation, but like at home, I remember growing up and taking things apart in my house, but usually when I would take things apart when I was younger, I would break it. You know, I couldn't really put it back together or fix it, but I've always had the interest. But here it's like I know more of what I'm doing and how to do it better and more efficiently, and really dive deeper than what I had been doing before. I think it's, different. It's just like apples and oranges. Traditional schooling is really good to teach people rote memorization and knowing facts and statements, and that can get you a long way and that can make an impact, but it's different than having an understanding of that knowledge. And I'm a person where it's really hard for me to just memorize things and repeat it if I don't understand what it is that I'm talking about. So here, like with the objective-based learning and all that, I can really get a grasp on like the underlying mechanics of what I'm learning. Traditional schooling, in my experience, hasn't been engaging. It hasn't really made me interested in what I was learning. For some people, they really do well in that setting of traditional schooling, but for me, it never really worked that well. It's, for me, I've always learned by experimentation and hands-on learning. I'm not good with memorization of words or things like that at all. For me, I really learn by doing and interacting and asking questions and having objectives. So I think the style of learning that goes on here is just a whole another level of education that is not experienced elsewhere. I think everyone has an interest to understanding why things work the way they do and how just how the world works. Like I still don't know why the sky is blue. Should probably look into that, but there's just so many questions that pop into my mind at least, and I think others too. And when they go unanswered, when I don't feel like I have a pathway to understanding the answers to my questions about life, I feel lost, When I know why things work, I feel a sense of like control or of like contentness. Whereas personally for me, when I don't know why things work, I feel like just like useless. Like I want to understand the world and I want to understand how things work so I can do something with that and make cool projects and do work that is awesome and meaningful. Learning to build exhibits has taken a lot of trial and error. I've worked on many different exhibits. Worked on like LCD screens that you can't even see what's on the screen unless you wear polarized glasses, and all types of different exhibits. And I've completed exhibits, but and then you give them to kids, and the kids play with those exhibits, and they break instantly. So it takes it took a lot of time, and I'm still learning how to do the process of trial and error, and how to work with the materials I have to really make something that works, and not only works, but continues to work, you know? No, nothing ever works how I expect, sometimes, but I don't think I've ever worked on a project or an exhibit where I haven't found a roadblock. But I think those blocks and those barriers are really what impacts learning. If I didn't have any things in the way, if it was just all easy peasy, then I I wouldn't be as interested, I think. You know, it sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes struggle creates change. Like struggle is progress, as some would say. You know, where that learning occurs is where those mistakes happen. I can't learn from my actions or from what I'm doing unless I make mistakes. Because if I knew everything, then I'd just do it. But I can't know everything until I experiment and go through the process of trial and error to really understand how to do what my objective is and how to build exhibits. I'm just so grateful to have had this experience and to have a place like this where I can come to and work on my ideas and projects and really like manifest concepts I have in my head, because most of my life I'd have all these wacky ideas, and I just never really had a way to experiment and let those ideas be more than ideas. But now that I have this environment, I really can like work on the ideas I have and just build things and get to understand the world more through my experimentation.